Hello, and thanks for joining me. Today, we're looking at a YouTuber named RealAtTheWheel, whose real name is Christopher, and who has only been making videos for a few weeks, but as of this recording has made 54 videos. And the reason I know he's made 54 videos is because he numbers them. We've got number 1, Hello YouTube, number 9, ADD, ADHD, and depression aren't real, number 15, Atheists are cowards, number 17, Belief of an Atheist, number 17 again, Atheism dismantled, number 32, how to get to 1 million subscribers. By the way, I'm not going to knock anyone for having a low subscriber count, but yeah. Number 39, my problem with trans. Number 44, how to get laid. And number 45, Alex Jones's trial, my take. Sometimes the low fruit really does need to be plucked. Today we're looking at number 18, my advice for atheists. He's got some advice for me. Well, let's see.
So, hence the title of this video, Advice for Atheists.
The word hence means it follows from what I just said that what I'm about to say is true. But this is the first thing he said in the video. There's nothing yet for what he's about to say to attach to. There's no thence for the hence. I'm not saying I have the perfect vocabulary. In fact, sometimes my vocabulary is positively sandwiches. But that hence bugged me for some reason. Maybe because it felt like he made a technical error of some kind and started recording in the middle of his conversation with the steering wheel. Also, and I'm only yelling at you about this because my wife always yells at me about this, put your seatbelt on before you start driving. For crying out loud.
Now, I don't mean to say, I have made some videos and I've called some atheists cowards.
What's wrong, McFly? Chicken?
I don't know because I haven't watched any of your other videos whether you've attacked me personally. Looking at your videos tab, it doesn't look like it, but you're certainly presuming to give me advice here.
And some of them are, you know, if you're going to just attack someone's beliefs in faith for the sake of being right, and while at the same time really not claiming not to believe in anything.
Neither I nor any atheist I've ever heard of claims to believe in nothing. I believe that I exist. I believe that today, the day I'm recording this video, is Sunday. I believe that it might rain this evening. I believe that London is the capital of England. Nobody claims not to believe in anything. Many might claim not to believe in anything on faith, that is, without rational justification for that belief. And I'm one of those people, but I try not to be too proud about it because I don't believe we necessarily have complete control over what we believe.
It's a cowardly thing to do.
You chicken?
It's a bully thing to do.
The description for this video says, although I have purposely attacked some of you, please do not take this as an attack. Would not calling me a coward and a bully be a purposeful attack? Would it not also be counterproductive in the people that you're trying to, give advice to?
You know, let people have their faith, let people believe in what they want to believe in.
I'm sorry, is there a minor epidemic of atheists kidnapping people from their lives, sticking them into a re-education camp for weeks, and brainwashing them into believing that they have a particular sexual orientation? Is that something that we are guilty of? No. We're guilty of making arguments. We're guilty of trying to convince people. Some of us are guilty of making normative statements, of saying that you shouldn't believe that God exists. Some of us are guilty of making personal attacks, and when such attacks are unwarranted, I have no problem with you calling us onto the carpet about that. But that's not what you're doing. You're trying to make us feel bad for telling you we think you're wrong, and we think you ought to change your minds. And those are the dual propositions which are the core of the I can't even imagine how many billions of dollars industry that is Christian outreach, Christian apologetics, and Christian evangelism.
So I do think there is some cowardice there.
Perhaps the most famous moment in the debate on creationism between Bill Nye and Ken Ham was when each debater was asked what would change his mind. Bill Nye said, evidence. Ken Ham said, nothing. If you want to have a discussion on cowardice, that's going to be our starting point.
Now, on the other end, I think a lot of atheists are highly intelligent people. I think atheists are, like everyone, trying to figure out what reality is, what the world is, and what is our place in it.
But somehow we don't have the right to draw the conclusion that God doesn't exist, right? Or if we do draw that conclusion, we're somehow morally obligated to keep it to ourselves?
Now, please do not come at this like attacking me for like religious beliefs or like Christian talking, because I haven't been to church in years.
With all the independent Christians out there, those who have tiny independent churches, or those who have gotten internet ordinations and are their own churches, or those who, as far as I can tell, just don't bother with the whole church thing and perhaps aren't even Christians at all, but just pretend to be for the sake of their own ego, or rather their own id, that's not even really remarkable. Many Christians, when they say they haven't been to church in years, even say it proudly.
I don't say that proudly, actually, but...
Oh, okay, fair enough, I guess.
Because I believe it is good to worship and give thanks to the unknown, to the mystery of life.
What's the mystery? I mean, you can find mysteries in life, things like, what was God doing before he made the universe, or why doesn't God heal amputees, or why God would ever make such a ridiculous-looking creature as the proboscis monkey. I mean, seriously, what entity with a blood alcohol level below 0.15 would ever intentionally make such a thing? But isn't the whole point of Christianity supposed to be that you have the answers about the things that really count?
Anyway, if you've been watching my videos, you know that I have put up a lot of stuff recently about atheism, and I've heard a lot of arguments, and I've heard a lot of different things, which subsequently has left me more confused than when I began thinking about atheism. So I want to give atheists some advice.
You want to give advice from a place of confusion? Or is it feigned confusion, like, I'm confused, Mr. Smith, you say you were never in the victim's apartment, yet you know what her furniture looks like? Where were you on the night of the 17th?
Or are you not, in fact, a chronic and habitual liar?
And I'm not telling you what to do.
Damn right you're not telling me what to do.
I'm just telling you where I see things going off the rails. And if I was an atheist, I would want to hear what an outside opinion looking in, like for the first time.
Maybe so, but from you? You're a guy in a car. No offense, because we all start somewhere, and I acknowledge the fact that you have something to say, but advise us? I'm going to quickly switch to another video by Christopher. This is number 25, Atheism Disproved. And this must have been a pretty urgent message for us because RealAtTheWheel doesn't bother with a wheel, or apparently a shirt.
Now, the actually interesting thing about this logic is when you follow it all the way down, they can really have no belief in anything, thus believing in nothing. Reason being, if you were to draw on a pencil and paper and leave the room, how can you believe that the pencil and paper is still in that other room? Either they believe in nothing or they're taking leaps of faith every single moment.
So, if you don't have immediate experience that something is true, then you have no rational warrant for thinking that that thing is true, which makes it a leap of faith, and your leap of faith in mundane things like pencil and paper is just as good as my leap of faith in God. Therefore, God exists. Checkmate, atheists?
Checkmate, 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 checkmate.
This hurts. I mean, this physically hurts. If I leave my iPad in another room for a while, I have a reasonable inference that it will be there when I get back because only my wife and I have access to that room, and my wife will never voluntarily touch any electronic device that doesn't have a Linux-based operating system. I could be wrong. Maybe burglars will break into the house and steal it. Maybe mice will invade the house and carry it off. Maybe the universe is a simulation and the processing thread that maintains the existence of the iPad will be glitched. But the fact that I may be wrong about something does not negate the reasonableness of the inference I draw about it. It delights me when apologists try to call atheism faith. It tells me they can't climb up to our level, so they have to try to drag us down to theirs.
So, that would be the first issue I have with atheism, which is, I've said this so many times and I'll continue to say it, there is no clear definition of atheism.
Atheism is the condition of not believing that a god or a deity exists. What exactly is your threshold of being clear?
Let me explain. There's the traditional definition of atheism that roughly 70% of atheists
Did you pull that number out of your ass? Be honest.
use, which is a non-belief in God. However, there's other definitions. The non-belief in what's the word? I forget. The non-belief in deities, which is a definition. I have had, but I hope people can understand a deity and God are completely, I hope people are able to separate the two.
You can't. Well, you can in the sense that not all deities which are believed in or can be imagined are the Christian God, but God is, by definition, a deity. Not all deities are capital G gods, but all capital G gods are deities.
As a deity is more of like a personification of God as a human being here on earth, where God could be something different than that. Let's just say like a designer. I know atheists are, oh, there is no designer, it's a theory. Okay, but there's a difference between what God is and what a deity would be.
So when you say deity, you seem to have beings like Zeus and Thor in mind. Beings that it's safe to point to as an example of a thing that obviously doesn't exist because very few people believe in them anymore. And when you say God, you mean God with a capital G. But the fact is, the word deity encompasses both types of entities, as does the word God with a small g. Give God a capital G, and the word becomes a proper noun, a name or a title.
Extra fun fact, a word that changes meaning when it's capitalized is known as a capitonym.
These are two completely different statements, a non-belief in God and a non-belief in deities.
It is possible to not believe in monotheistic gods like God, but not to not believe in polytheistic gods like Zeus and Thor, or vice versa. In fact, it's probably true of everyone who calls themselves a theist. No one believes in all the gods who have ever been believed in. But atheism, properly defined, would be the condition of not believing in any of those things. I don't believe in Zeus, I don't believe in Thor, I don't believe in Brahma, I don't believe in the flying spaghetti monster, and I don't believe in Yahweh, the entity you call God. Again, what is your threshold for clarity here?
The other definition I've heard is that, and this one is really good, that the actual definition of atheism is one that holds multiple definitions.
This is true in the sense of positive and negative atheism. Negative atheism, or broad atheism, is what I said earlier, the condition of not believing in a god. This is simply atheism. This is what it is. Qualifiers like negative or broad or weak are used to distinguish it from positive atheism or strong or narrow atheism, which is a subset of negative atheism. It's the condition of having a belief in the non-existence of a god.
Which is not really helpful, because if you're trying to discuss atheism, and if you're trying to learn more about it, and if you ask a question and then someone changes the definition of it because they don't have an answer.
Changes the definition? I think if you put your preconceptions aside and look at what's really going on in the discussions you've had, if indeed you've had any discussions, you'll probably find that they're not changing the definition of anything, but clarifying the distinction between positive and negative atheism. This distinction is well known in the atheist community, I'd say almost to the point of being universal. Some philosophers, such as Graham Oppy, would like to do away with the distinction and reserve the word atheism for positive atheism and use agnosticism or another word to refer to negative atheism. But first, even those philosophers understand the distinction, even if they don't like it. And second, trying to get rid of it at this point would be like trying to convert the United States of America to the metric system. It might have advantages, but it's not going to happen.
Blame President James Jimmy Carter. He started America on a path to the metric system, but then just gave up.
Well, now there's an issue, and now there's a problem. And you're going to have people like me change the definition of God, because, well, if you can do it with atheism, why can't you do it with God?
You absolutely can. If you happen to change your mind right there in the middle of the conversation about what it is you believe exists. Atheists, in my experience, are uniformly consistent in their definition of atheism, even if they're not initially very clear about it. You're whining about it, and I will not apologize for the term whining because I don't hear you apologizing for the term bully. Seems to be from the frustration that atheism, properly defined, doesn't have anything to prove to you. It has nothing to prove to anyone. It's a condition of not believing that a God exists, and it can only be gotten rid of by causing someone to believe that a God exists. Which, if that person is rational, can only be done by demonstrating that God exists, which is why apologists in the modern era speak so often of circumnavigating the intellect.
When you learn how to speak to a person's conscience and circumnavigate the intellect, the subject of evolution seems to disappear.
These are not the words of someone who can demonstrate the existence of God. Unless you think Banana Man's sidekick is an aberration, even professionals like William Lane Craig have recently spoken of lowering the epistemic bar, that is, lowering your intellectual standards for believing that God exists.
So, to the atheists out there, this is really important. You need to come up with one solid definition that encompasses all of atheism and all of atheists.
Atheism is the condition of not believing that a God exists. Stop whining.
And if you want this claim to be, let's say, as airtight as something like a religion, you know, this claim has to really be something you're willing to die for.
Wait. You're saying that if, say, Graham Oppie started to make headway in popularizing the Atheism-Agnosticism Convention as a replacement for the Strong Atheism, Weak Atheism Convention, then I should storm his office at Monash University with an assault rifle? If I did that, Christopher, I'd probably be mistaken for a Christian. Definitions are matters of linguistic convention, and to suggest that someone should be willing to die for one is not only absurd, but exposes the underpinnings of a mind which thinks in terms of violent death. Boy, that's the religion I want to be a part of. And I'm not even going to comment on the bit about religion being airtight, and neither would most sane religionists.
So, you have to come up with a clear definition, especially if you're going to attack other people for their faith. And I'm not saying that to create argument, that's just my observation, and it's a problem. Because if you don't have a clear definition and then you attack, then you have people like me say, hey, you're being a bully, you're being a coward.
At this point, I'm going to attack you again for your use of the words bully and coward, and this attack has nothing to do with your being a theist. If an atheist called me a bully, I'd have them on the mat. If they called me a coward, I'd have them on the mat. I'd make them back up their accusations with specific examples. In my case, I know you can't because you and I have never interacted before. I don't believe that any other atheist has shown cowardice either. I just think you don't understand their position, whether that's because they have failed to clearly explain it to you or because you find their position easier to attack if you remain ignorant of what it actually is. I wouldn't presume to know. I don't know for certain that no atheist has ever bullied you, but I would be very, very careful with that accusation. There are few things in life I take more seriously than bullying, and playing fast and loose with the term to score rhetorical points is one of the few things these days that genuinely angers me. Now, to the extent that anyone is attacking theists for their faith, let me say again, atheism is the condition of not believing that a God exists. The only way to rectify this condition is to cause someone to believe that a God exists, and to an intellectual, this can only be done by demonstrating that a God exists. Speaking for myself, my attacks on faith, as you call them, simply take the form of pointing out that you have not demonstrated this.
Okay, the second problem that I have run into is that there seems to be two talking points that are reoccurrent with atheists that are at odds with each other. One of these is that, how can you possibly know anything? You can't know anything. There's nothing to know. You can't prove anything. You don't know anything. That's one argument. And I slightly agree with that. It's hard to actually know anything.
Wait, are you saying that we can't know anything? Or are you saying that atheists are saying that we can't know anything? It sounds like you're saying atheists are saying that, maybe. But if so, I think you're again misunderstanding what atheists are saying. Radical epistemological skeptics are thin on the ground, so much so that I'd be amazed if you've met more than, say, 0.
And the other argument is used is that we only use math, logic, and science to prove points. So on one side, you don't know anything, and on the other side, we're using tools within this reality that we don't know if it's real to say that something is real. It doesn't make any sense.
I don't know any atheist who says that we can't know things. If you ever have an atheist actually tell you we can't know things, tell them that David John Willman would like to speak with them. So that leaves the other horn of the dilemma, that we know things through math, logic, and science. I assume you don't have a problem with that. I assume you do have a problem with saying that we can only know things through those or similar methods because you can't prove God with them. But the fact is, other methods lead to unresolvable contradictions in their results, which means they cannot be relied upon.
For the atheists listening, I hope this was helpful. And again, I'm not saying this to attack.
I don't think I'll be taking advice from you, nor do I think you should be giving advice. I don't believe you are dispensing it in good faith. I think your ignorance of what atheism is and what our positions are is profound and quite likely willful. But Christopher, if I were to give you just one piece of advice, I'd be wasting my time. Future Dave here, just want to quickly respond to a video of Christopher's which came out since recording this video. This is number 83. Yes, he's already done that many more in the last week or so, although many of them seem to have been deleted, and it's called Two-Faced Rats on YouTube. He's talking about guys like me who do response videos. And since this is a response video to him, I thought it was worth addressing.
Hey, I'm seeing this trend on YouTube. It's like people who will post videos talking shit about somebody on the come up. And it's like, if you don't like the person so much and you think they're so horrible, then why make a fucking video about them? To get views? To get clicks? Huh. So you're going to use the person's name. You're going to use the person's name who's a piece of shit and dedicate your life to make a whole video about them, to make a thumbnail with their picture that you edit, with a catchy title, and then you spend, I don't know, 2 or 3 days filming this video, and then you edit this video, all to say that you do not like this person.
First of all, it's not just that I don't like you, it's that you're wrong, and also that you're not a very good person. And second, there's an incentive for me to make these videos. I get money for making them. And the reason for that is that advertisers are willing to pay me to advertise on my videos. And the reason they're willing to do that is that a lot of people watch my videos. And the reason they do that is because, at least on a good day, I make videos which are entertaining and educational about people who, because of how they behave, really need videos to be made about them. There's a word in German, Backpfeifengesicht. I won't tell you what it literally means, but colloquially it means someone who is just begging to be taken down. And there is a market for seeing them taken down. So if you don't want videos to be made about you, you pretty much have 2 choices. Seize the means of production and end capitalism, or adjust your behavior. In spite of what I said a moment ago, that's my advice to you. You're welcome. If you enjoyed this video and want to help my channel grow, please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons. Be sure to hit the bell to be notified when a new video comes out. And if you'd like to share your thoughts on RealAtTheWheel, with or without a shirt, leave a comment below. A huge thanks to all my Patreon supporters. You help make this channel possible. If you would like to become a supporter, check out the link in the description. Thanks as always for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. I'm David John Wellman, and the rest is up to you.
What's wrong, dude? You yellow!